Ready? So with Mr. R, we're going to try a little bit with our cot. So ready, bed? Nice. So in the beginning, as he's getting more fluid, I'm going to see if I can start adding a little bit more difficulty to these behaviors. So I'm going to tell him to stay. I'm going to see if I can add a little bit of wiggles. If you see that wiggling makes it hard for him, like I mentioned earlier, is make sure that your stays start off first with your time frame. Get them in the groove that way first, and then start adding some distance or distraction level. So if, let's say Mr. R is doing a great job, we might again remind him to do a little stay, and then as I'm adding a little bit of wiggles from side to side, feed the lovely for that stay position. So as I was mentioning earlier, your stays in the beginning, you might have a snack every few seconds. As he becomes more advanced and more cozy, you may find he's like, hold on, there's some crumbs. You may find that as he gets more comfortable, the duration between each snack can get bigger. So ready, Roy? So we're going to bring him back to his bed. If he breaks, no big deal. Just regain the behavior. So remember, he's also learning. So sometimes he might take little breaks. He might need to take a little recess, and that's perfectly fine. We might even try for that lovely down. See if Mr. R could work a little bit with his stay on his cot. So when working this again, like I mentioned earlier, you may first start off thinking about your time frame, which is again your first D, which is your duration. And as he's doing really well, you'll see that I'm adding a little bit of distractions, but I might also be adding a little bit of distance. If you find that you're adding all three elements too quickly and all together, your dog may not do as well with the behavior you were hoping. So if they're failing, which means again they're not grasping the concept, they're maybe not understanding what's being asked of them, or they're constantly getting up and wiggling, ready? We could then go ahead down and restart the behavior, but make it really simple. So at times you might have to lower your criteria just because the pup may not be feeling quite as savvy. Remember, just like with us, we have some days where we're feeling ready to rumble, and other days we're like, I don't feel like getting out of bed. So there's definitely going to be times where your dog or puppy may also have days that they're feeling a little off. So with Mr. R right now, working a bit with this lovely place behavior, I just want it to seem successful. So again, he's doing such a great job. I'm going to say all done, and we're going to get up and break from our spot. So if in the beginning he has a harder time, nice job, sir. We want to make it very simple, really easy. We might do a couple little find its for fun, get them up and wiggling. I do find that when you're doing a lot of stay behaviors, you do want to get them up and wiggling in between some of the reps. I don't want him to think that it's always really difficult work. I might also just take his leash off because he's just flopping around with it. So we'll do another little find it. So when he's practicing, gear again can be very helpful, like your training wheels, but don't feel they have to be on gear all the time unless it's a safety situation or you're expecting something to be so hard for them that you may lose them physically in the situation. So we might get that lovely down, beautiful. Now we're going to try again with Mr. R. He's like, lady, I really like sits. If he prefers to start off with a sit, we're going to tell him to stay, and he can hold this in a sit or a down position. The main goal is I just want him to think that it's fun to hang out on his mat, and that's where most of the fun does happen. So right now he's doing a splendid job just kind of chilling. If he breaks, again, I reset him up, tell him once more to stay, and I'm just going to do 1 or 2 good little reps of him holding his position. He's doing a real nice job. Yes, gorgeous job. So again, you'll see that my rapid fire food right now is what's also holding his attention, but also helping him be able to hold a sit stay for longer than usual. So if you're finding that holding still is very hard for your dog, make sure that you're building up value, all done, with the behavior you're working on. So if that means, again, each behavior or skill set has a bank account, we want to view each one of those as getting some deposits put into it on maybe a daily basis, or rotate through those different skills. But if you're finding the only behavior your puppy can do is 1 or 2 skills, it might be that, again, we haven't added enough value to those other behaviors. So if you think about your down and your stay and, for example, recall as all having a bank account, if, for example, your pup is not doing well with one of those, it might be that what we're depositing has very little value to the dog, or that we're working the behavior or skill set in a much harder environment. The puppy could also be confused with what you're asking. So I would highly recommend to start thinking about behavior and skills as having a bank account, and then think to yourself, how many deposits have I put into this account? And is it enough where my dog is feeling that there's value to that account? So we'll get that little sit again. Nice. He's just getting a little tired. All done. And we'll get Mr. Handsome up and wiggling. Nice job, sir. So as I did earlier, ready, Roy? We may practice even some of this behavior like we did earlier. So we might do a little find it. And then we'll do again a little, Roy, come. Yes. So sometimes doing a little bit of fun and rotation through some of your different skill sets is a great way to throw in a little bit of everything, but short and sweet for greater success. Sit. Yes. So if you're finding your training sessions are getting stagnant or your pup is almost giving up, maybe even halfway or partially through the training, make sure that you're not going so long with your reps that your pup feels that it's almost like a boot camp scenario and they'd rather just give up and take a break than to keep working and having fun with you. So make sure, again, short and sweet for the greater good for your puppy and for you. And if you ever have a day where you're just not feeling like training or you've had a rough day at work, don't feel you have to do training. There's plenty of days where I do not always work with my dog every day, and I think that's actually quite good for them. Having a recess from having to do lots of thinking or physical activity is actually another great skill your dog should have. So just to be in the space and feel comfortable and maybe working with a chew item or a puzzle toy, or sometimes just having relaxation days. Oh, did we lose one? So poor Mr. R says, lady, I think I lost a snack. Is it under there? No, it's on the other side. Ready? Find it. There we go. Now he'll find them. So with your handsome guy, take your sweet time. Remember, you can also capture behavior. So let's say Mr. R had gone up there by himself. You can, of course, capture great moments throughout the day. So I would recommend sometimes have a treat station where you plop out some treats in a Tupperware container throughout the home. You can then get your beauty in the habit of sometimes checking in for their name, working that positive interrupter, or even shaking the little jar or container of snacks. Have your beauty come running and then also feed throughout the day for good things that you're capturing. Nice job. Beautiful job, Mr. R. So smart. We'll take a little break. What a smart man. So good.